We're
Nervous.
going live. Hello, Healing Strong community and family. Maya Metzel here with Jim Mann, host of our I Am Healing Strong podcast. And we have launched season 3, which is why we are starting this again. We're doing Testimony Tuesdays, so it'll be with Jim sometimes. It'll be with other individuals who are connected to and supporting Healing Strong, because this year is a big year. And Jim, do you want to tell us why it's a big year?
Yes, I turn 18.
You sweet legal now.
Yes. Okay, that's false, but this is true.
Yeah.
We celebrate 10 years of Healing Strong, so that's a big milestone. Most nonprofits don't make it that far.
Yeah. What a
Strong.
blessing and testament of God's grace and mercy, right? Sustaining Healing Strong all this time to be able to serve so many people with cancer or chronic illness, or those like myself living for prevention and just wanting to learn more about the natural world and what I can do, because there are things we can do, right? And it doesn't have to be at a situation where you're kind of needing to make a decision right away and massive life changes. So this organization is beneficial for anybody. And so we are celebrating 10 years this year.
Yeah, people like you are smarter than me, because I waited till I got the cancer and then I scramble, but you're avoiding it, so that's a little smarter. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I do want to also note that I understand that there's only so much I can do because the Lord's still in control, right? But I'm empowered now. I feel equipped with information to take action now, and then if something were to happen, I'm not going to be fearful about it because I know next steps to take. So it's a beautiful place to be. But I'm glad you're in the place you are too, Jim, because you're able to share your story, and then now you're connecting with other people to share their stories. So that's kind of why we're here today, is talking about season 3, episode 1, which is Jim and Allie. And if you go and listen to this episode, you'll get some clarification too. Allie was going to try and join us this morning, but she has a meeting. She's a very busy mama and businesswoman and lady. So they kind of talk about that in episode 1 too, which is great because I think it gives some background into her being a part of some episodes and then not within the interview itself. So episode 1, what was it like, I guess, recording it with Allie, and how did that go? And with the things you touched on, do you want to mention those, kind of the highlights of the episode?
Yeah, we talked about the past, of course, season 1 and 2, and kind of reminiscing that. She got carried away there as she's reminiscing of the stories. She was actually involved with 2 of the interviews, so I forgot about that. She did one by herself. She's such a big girl. And then and then we did one with the 2 of us interviewing 2 other people. So it was 4 of us on that one. So that worked out pretty good. And she would love to do every one of them with me or by herself, however, because, she's a journalist and, she's been an anchor and a reporter. So, I mean, that's part of her world. But she's also, we meet for coffee every once in a while. It's got to be near her home, between her home and her work. So I have to drive 30 minutes for that. And she gets out of the car. She's on one phone, holding another phone. And then she'll go to the other one. And then we'll put them both down and we'll have coffee. And then she's got to go.
My goodness, totally out of my world, because I'm not that busy. I'm busy. Homeschooling and this, and then momming and wifing and adulting and all those things.
Yeah.
Wow. So it is something that you guys touched on, is how busy she is, but why she kind of got led into wanting to do this and why you even reached out to her. So I would encourage people to just kind of go and listen to that and listen to her episode, because she was interviewed by you as well to share her own story. So then you can get an even deeper understanding as to why the Lord's given her like certain desires. and how that's kind of led her to this. So anyhow.
But yeah, her episode, which was in season 1, it just caught me off guard. I was at her house doing this, and of course, the first part's talking about because her life was with her husband being in the Major League Baseball, so they're constantly traveling and things, and that was interesting. But some people thought, well, it's just a story about an athlete making lots of money. That's what most of us think. But then it just went right into how their world just came crashing down when one of their little twins got that life-threatening disease, was born with it, and then it turned, because I'm so used to being lighthearted with her, and I get nervous when people get really serious. But she started talking about it, and she started crying, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. But it was great. I felt closer to her. I felt like, wow, she's like my sister. I need to pat her on the head or something, but I didn't. But the way she handled what she went through was very impressive to me, how she had almost immediately turned it over to God and was not bitter, was not angry. I'm sure she's had her little spells here and there, but for the most part, some people go years being bitter at God, but she, because of her foundation with her family and everything, she was able to see, what God was doing right away. And I thought, man, I hope I'm that deep. And then we went back to being lighthearted.
I listened to the episode, and it was very, very tear-jerking. And I was making my youngest daughter's bed, and I remember like needing to stop and just cry because it is very touching. And just as a mom, being able to relate to it. But it's like Jim said, season 1, episode 3 is Allie's episode, and Jim also did an episode in season 1. And so you guys kind of talked about the recapping of season 1 and 2, and man, there's just so much hope and encouragement in all of the stories. You guys, the guests that you have on, that you're talking to, and that's what we really want our listeners to be able to gain from listening, is hope and encouragement, because there is hope and there are people you can relate to. And we only know that because we share them, right? We can't keep quiet.
Right. Yeah, the common thread that I found is the hope. Everyone finds that hope, and I liken it quite often to the Rocky movies. If you watch Rocky, which everybody on the planet I think has, but
I don't think I have.
Oh no! Well, like the first one, there's like 25 of them, but the first one where he just felt like a loser, and then all of a sudden he was ready to give up, and then his wife just encouraged him in this little emotional thing, and this bell goes off, and that's like when hope hit, and he just took off from there and just turned into a champion. But the only difference was he had hope instead of defeat.
Yeah.
And so the common thread in this, that people found hope, and then they became fighters. Hey, like a boxer, and they were determined, to beat this thing. And that's the difference that I have found with everybody. Everybody's story is different, but they have all that in common. And then we, of course, looked ahead to the celebration of 10 years coming up September 29th and 30th. And it's going to be in Houston, Texas.
Yay!
And at the Met Church. And so that's going to be great, because the next couple of episodes that we might have some outside of Healing Strong, but had connection in there. But we're going to try to focus on people that are part of the organization, and what it's meant to them, and their stories of maybe how they're involved, and how you can get involved. And it's just, we're basically going to concentrate on the organization and how it's lasted 10 years and growing. So it's kind of exciting.
Yes, it's an exciting year for that, and sharing the stories within, because I think some people can hear of an organization, get a small gist, but not really understand it until they're kind of invited on the inside. And these stories from the inside give those individuals, those listeners, an opportunity to really understand the impact and what it is we do. Because we can say we do this and this and this, but if we don't have people and stories to back it up, are we really doing it?
Yeah, and then we can all become Rocky Balboa.
Yeah. So what
It
are
is.
you looking forward to focusing on people within the organization then, moving forward this year in the podcast? What are you most excited about or most looking forward to?
Well, of course, I like meeting everybody who is involved because I hear names and I see faces maybe in videos and pictures, but uh, I got to put them together and get to know them personally. So I like that part. That's the thing I liked about radio when I was on radio is actually going out and meeting people because it's so different once you find their story. You feel that connection. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also looking forward to feel the excitement that everybody has being involved in that because it's so easy to get used to something and then it becomes just a job or just something you get focused on something else, especially me. I mean, I'm like part Chihuahua. I'm sure I have ADD and ADHD and all kinds of stuff, though in my days they never diagnosed anything, but
Yeah.
I'm not a focused person. But so it's great. And when Allie and I were discussing the past couple seasons and then what's coming up, I got excited about it again, looking forward to the interviews and no matter how much work it is, because being in radio, I have to edit a lot. It's just
Mm.
part of me. Some people don't edit their podcasts at all, but I'm editing like crazy. It's just something I can't change. I'm in my 60s now. Oh wait, 18. That's what I meant.
Yes.
But uh, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. To concentrating on those who are involved, whether they're part of the volunteers. Well, mostly will be volunteers, like group
Hmm.
leaders, people maybe working at the headquarters, the major headquarters of just a few people in a small room. It's precious. But yeah, it's very humble. I love being involved with humble people
Yeah.
because yeah, it's one thing in radio, though most of them were humble because it was Christian radio, but
Mm.
you also find a lot of egos in radio, and I've not come across any egos in this, and I don't expect to, because
Yeah.
most of us have been humbled by cancer and
Hmm.
humbled because we realize, oh, this is much bigger than me, so I'm not as important as I thought I was. I'm not in control like I thought I was, and so uh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. No,
That makes sense.
it's very true. Even for me, who's living for prevention, it's very humbling to have the Lord discipline me in the way I was living and show me that there's things He's given, and I've had to apologize to Him and repent and say I'm sorry. I just wasn't open to this before, and I didn't know. And so it's not even just a cancer diagnosis that's humbling, although that is. It's
Mhm.
it's the learning once you're open enough to hear and to let the Lord lead you, you get convicted and humbled very quickly.
Yes,
He's
makes you
good at
feel
that.
better.
He's a good teacher.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So to kind of wrap this up, you mentioned the 10-year celebration already, and that we're talking to people within the organization. So why don't you just send us off with a quick, short message about the podcast and just the organization itself from your own standpoint, either as the host or just a person involved.
Yeah, I'm a person involved because I'm a group leader and a
Mhm.
podcast, and I'm also a member giving financially every month. And so I thought I need to do that because I believe in what they're doing. I believe in the support they're giving people who have been diagnosed, who are scared, don't know what to do. Um, and nothing against doctors and stuff, but when you jump into that world, which you need to tie in, to know where you're at and keep up with that. But still, that's scary when you're sitting in lobbies with other people that they look like they're dying around you, and some of them are, and it's just so depressing. But there's nothing depressing about healing strong groups. It's very uplifting. You go in maybe a little depressed, but you come out thinking, man, God's got this. There's no big deal. So, and of course, Healing Strong, it's supported by, and this is very odd too for nonprofits, most of our funding, almost 80% of our funding, comes from just individuals that are donating and giving monthly. I think there's a $25 and $75 levels, and with that you get like ebooks, you get discounts on different events, and you get a free car. No, I mean, that's something else.
Yeah.
Not that much, but yeah, it's great, and there's so much stuff that you can get to, so much information. There's so many videos, and of course the podcast, which is really all you need in life. No, just kidding. Podcast is just another avenue of spreading hope. I mean, watching videos, people's stories, and listening to like holistic doctors, getting all that information, listen to Chris Wark and all that information he's got. And what the podcast does is basically get the stories and kind of get the emotions of what people are going through, and something to listen to while you're driving around or walking around the lake or whatever it is you do. Just hearing people and getting hope. It's definitely not about me and Allie. It's just, and I don't talk. I try not to talk much on there because I just get it going, and then people just start telling their stories, and that's what it's about. We're all in this together. So
Yeah, and I have greatly appreciated the stories being shared, and so I love the inspiration and encouragement, because what's going on in the world, or has always gone on in the world, in a broken world, right, is a lot of discouragement, a lot of negativity. And so what sets this apart is the faith-based emotional relatability, and then the strength that people gain from their experience, and that people can gain just from hearing it. And so I'm looking forward to these interviews of those who you talk to that are within the organization. And so those of you watching or listening to this, mark your calendar, set an alarm every Monday from here on out. We release this first episode on Valentine's Day. What better way to have a love day than to be inspired and reminded of the hope that you can have? And so go listen to episode 1. But every Monday from here on out, a new episode will be released. So
that's right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Jim.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. No, we all appreciate it. Many have said how much they gain encouragement from listening. So hats off.
You don't want my hat off.
Okay. Well, then we'll do a tip of the hat.
All right.
Okay. Have a good day.
All right. See ya.
Bye.